Hi, GITV. I'm Bobby X-Man Hildebrand, and this is Tim. We're both very excited to be here to give you an after-action report on Bob versus Tim 3. Tim may be a little bit more excited first.
Because we won. The elite guard whooped your booty.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't disagree that we all had a fun time, even though my team happened to have not succeeded. I don't want to say lost because there were technicalities. I had a really great time. There was a lot of crazy stuff that happened. I almost got assassinated in my own headquarters. Tim almost got captured. The tribesmen were crazy, and there were a lot of airstrikes, mortar strikes, and smoke bombs. So
I don't know what they were supposed to be. It was supposed to be a mortar, and then it was like an airstrike or something like that.
Yeah, well,
I'll get into that later.
Absolutely.
The game started out. I got some info from some of my spies even before the game started. I was told that Bob is going to be moving through the forest. And so I gave my pregame speech to everyone. It was short and sweet. It's the same strategy I use all the time. My strategy is, as long as you keep shooting, somebody else will take care of the objective. So I just told my team to shoot indiscriminately at any of Bob's rebels that you see. I sent some of them into the forest. I sent some of them into the city, and they did their jobs perfectly.
A very laissez-faire strategy, but I definitely went a bit more in-depth with my team. Had a little tiny, quickly done tactical map on the ground. Sent about a third of my team into the forest to go after 1 to 2 of the flag objectives. I was really hardcore on this mortar because at Tim vs. Bob 2, it was not functional, even though I was told it was going to be functional. So we're looking for this POW camp. Supposed to be 3 mortars in there. Apparently ended up none of them were working, just like the previous game. But I sent a third to go flank your city of Tim, and I sent a third straight into the city. Sadly, third I sent right into the forest. Got gunned down all at the same time by 4 tribesmen in ghillie suits. They basically just stood up and wasted the entire force, including team therapists who were all dressed as, I believe, Mexicans with rainbow-colored ponchos, which I actually have a number of them back there. They're very easily identifiable in a camouflage
Surprisingly,
setting.
they're still hard to see, even though they're wearing bright colors. Like those guys.
I don't know. I like how they actually had the beards and their mustaches glued onto their masks.
Yeah,
so they're always a really fun team to have on my team. I really appreciate
regardless of
them.
how that worked out, I mean, your guys in the forest got gunned down by the tribesmen. Your guys in the city got pushed all the way back by my guys.
The problem is that we kept running down that dirt road and into just a hailstorm of plastic.
Fire.
I mean, we were basically doing human wave attack after human wave attack, and it was really hard to just keep the momentum pushing into the city, partly because, you know, Tim, you, of course, started with all of the fortified areas. We had to attack from the tree line, run across open ground.
Well, it is Tim Min.
No, of course. It makes sense, and it felt very interesting being on the human wave attack side, because I'm not used to that. So I was definitely screaming a lot, trying to force my folks forward. And we finally did gain some momentum when I called in a mortar strike on some of your team members in this Vietnam city.
A little bit of momentum, yeah.
Well, we were finally able to push up to the edge of Timon and actually get a little bit into the city, which for a long time had eluded us.
That grenade strike was kind of interesting because Jet calls me up on. Jet was the guy organizing the game, and he's the one that was in control of all the explosives. And he's like, Tim, we're calling in a grenade strike. You got 20 seconds to get your guys out of North Vietnam. And at the time that I got that radio call in, I was all the way back at my respawn because I was trying to get the guys that were there to keep moving forward because we were making such good progress. And so I started running, and I was like, oh, shit, I'm not going to make it all the way there. I was like, Jet, don't you let that thing go off without a camera near it. You better have a cameraman nearby.
Yeah.
And so Jet's like, okay, stand by for a cameraman. And so it bought me a little more time. I ran to the front lines. I was like, get back. This could be a grenade strike. And so it actually worked out so well that I got a little extra time to pull my guys back because we had to find the cameramen who were not in the area at the moment.
That's why I didn't go off on time. I was calling in that mortar strike. I was calling it in, and Jet was like, all right, it's going to be going down in 30 seconds. So I had a lot of my rebel forces
You
grouped.
were waiting, right?
No, we were like in the reeds waiting for it to go off, and I let it charge right through there, but I was like, where is my artillery? Where is it? And it finally came down without any warning, and I had to get up and stand and scream everyone to go through there. And that push was pretty awesome. It felt pretty righteous, but I believe the mortar strike landed right next to all of your guys who were actually in the military that you brought.
Yeah, I mean, I did suffer some casualties, but not nearly as many casualties as I would have suffered had it gone off on time. So I used some powers of persuasion to buy a little more time because Jet was unprepared to film it.
I'm glad that the camera was there. That does make me feel good. Yeah, but
if it had gone off without the camera, you guys totally would have pushed way further up because I was able to get a lot of my forces back out of the blast radius because of that extra time that I got because the cameramen weren't ready.
See, that's the fog of war. That's something I did not see. And another thing that was really important for this first game is that the maps that we were given, which you don't take maps from these games after what happened at Tim vs. Bob 2, where myself and my XO photoshopped the maps so they were subtly but extremely different than what was actually on the field. So Tim
I didn't even use the map the second game, but the fact they tried to deceive me with the map was really cute because I was like, Bob, I'm not going to use the map. He's like, oh, please.
Well, I like that you're learning from each different experience. There's always something I'm trying to throw at you that's a little bit crazy. And Operation Translator Extreme did not come into effect this game. I didn't have a time to use it. So I'll save that for the next game. You don't know what it is, so it'll be fine. But that said, there were 5 different control points on the map, very similar to how Battlefield 3 works, where you raise the flag, you capture the flag, you get points for how long the flag is up there. But unbeknownst to me, and apparently beknownst to you, was that there were about 3 to 4 new flags that were placed in there the day before by the SC Village refs.
I didn't know it until I got there,
okay,
though. And then I called Jet on it, and I was like, dude, there's like a lot more flags here than you said there would be. And he's like, yeah, the refs put that up yesterday.
And they all happen to be coincidentally in your fortified areas.
Some fellas are lucky and some ain't. I can't do anything about it. SC Village is getting ready for
Decay of Nations.
Decay of Nations, which is like the hugest paintball game.
It is big
on the West Coast. So they put the flags up there, and it just happened to be there for our game.
I know. I'm just saying, the deck was not stacked in my favor on this one. But God, it felt really cool though when we finally breached the city way later on in the first game. That I really got a healthy respect for how large that city was. I finally got up to that flag that was on the hill in those buildings, and it's a huge course. I really.
The only reason you got that flag is because Jet misfired my mortar attack. Or airstrike.
There was one that went off, but we had enough time to scatter off of that.
Yeah, that was the first one. So you hit me with a grenade strike, and then Jet calls me. He's like, hey, are you going to use any of your Moabs? And I was like, well, I don't think I need to because look at the field. Like,
go to hell.
We're controlling so much of the field. And he's like, well, I can't really set off that many at Viper because it's too close in, you know?
Yeah.
And so I used one just for fun, and that was kind of cool, and I didn't really kill a lot of you guys.
But it was loud. It was awesome.
Extremely loud. It
goes
like, pew, kaboom!
Yeah.
But that apparently didn't kill enough people. You guys got plenty of time to get out.
I just kept telling everyone to spread out.
But the second one that I was supposed to send out was towards the end of the game. You guys were making some ground, assaulting the city, and I told Jet, and I was like, Jet, the red flag that says Giant Airsoft that leads that trail into the woods. Throw it into the woods, starting where that red flag is. And he's like, I got it. And then I hear a pew, boom, and the whole thing goes off. And then like 60 of my guys die because Jet set it off on the red flag instead of in the woods. And so I called up Jet. I'm like, Jet, what the happened with that? And he was like, misfire, sorry.
So are you telling me that artillery didn't land exactly where you wanted to?
No.
That's weird. I feel like that never happens in the real world.
I told him to do it in the woods. He was like, oh, the bomber pilot got lost. Deal with it. And so I was just man. And that's what allowed you guys, because that whole area was void. It was full of my guys, and it was all
We definitely
void.
Pushed pretty far into the city at that point.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Honestly, without that first mortar strike, we wouldn't even got to the edge. We were getting stopped just butt cold. And we definitely had, once we got past a lot of the tribesmen, we were able to get further onto the forest and all the way around to one of your flanks.
You know why the tribesmen were not there? Because they were all trying to capture me.
They were not friendly to us at all during the entire game, but I did hear you got really close to being captured.
You pissed them off apparently in the beginning of the game, so they were like, "Oh, we're gonna go hang out with Tim, right?"
No. That's not. I didn't piss them off on purpose. Like there was a lot of heretofore. Yeah.
But what happened? The reason the whole forest was void of tribesmen is because they both came up to me, both Team Threat and Team Umbrella. They were walking up this trail as I was walking the opposite way, and I was like, oh, I knew what they were doing. They were trying to do something shiesty.
Oh, this is a funny story. The one with Wojcik's?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Okay, Michelle Wojcik happens to be sitting, on the side of the trail. I'm walking up, and then I see the tribesmen come up, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to talk to these guys. Like, I know they're going to plan something. And Michelle heard me, even though I wasn't talking to her specifically. And so as the tribesmen move up, she gets up and just like walks around us about 10 yards away. And then both tribes come up and they start arguing about something, just trying to cause confusion. And I was like, and then one of the guys walks behind me, and I actually look and I kind of like make eye contact with him a little bit. And so I think he knows that I know that something's going on.
Yeah.
But there's nothing I can do about it, because if I had ran away right there, they would have just started shooting. So I kind of went along with it. I let it play out for a little bit, and then finally, like, you know, one guy pulls a grenade, some guy pulls a pistol, and then some guy takes me hostage, and everyone starts grabbing people from behind. And then, like, there's the guy that's holding onto me. One of the, I guess, Team Umbrella was supposed to be on my team, and Team Threat was supposed to be trying to capture me, which I had no idea, because they rolled up together. Like,
Yeah.
I thought they were on the same team, but there were, like, rubber knives out at people's necks, and it was just like a huge stalemate for a while. And then we're like, okay, well, what do we do now? And it's like, and they're like, well, Tim, let's go. And I was like, my feet hurt. I don't really feel like moving. You know, this is, you know, and you can see me in the video. Like, I just get some water. I'm like, I think I'm gonna have some water. And then we just kind of like, oh, what's going on? Like, what's gonna happen right here? And then Michelle's like,
Yeah,
starts
shoots everybody.
mowing everybody down
Yeah.
indiscriminately, and so I feel like a brush of BBs go like all around my shoulders. Maybe it was this shoulder. Yeah, like one wave of BBs goes that way, and she must have came back the other way, because I felt another wave of BBs, and I was like, ow, 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 I'm already dead. And so I finally decided to get down so I don't keep getting hit. And then after that, everybody was obviously dead. Somebody shot her too. And it was just a really funny transaction.
You're lucky she was there.
I know. I was lucky she was paying attention. I was lucky she had her MK23 too, because that thing has a lot of ammo. So she's just like hosing people down. She could hold down the trigger easily. And that was, I think that was actually after the second airstrike. It was one of the last like exciting things that happened in the game on my end, at least.
Ooh. Well, there was, not to cut you short, but I actually did have a spy on your team named Portugal, who works, I believe, at Tax City. He's like, hey, you know, should I sign up for your team or should I sign up for Tim's team?
I didn't
like,
see him at all.
Oh, he was there. He signed up for your team.
I know who he is. I know what he was wearing, but I didn't
Okay.
see him like around me.
Well, he basically grabbed one of your spies that was grabbing intelligence. He's dressed like a civilian. He grabbed him on your side, walked him through your lines, through my lines, and then into my HQ, and he just came up with a 45. I was like, I got a spy. I was like, where'd you come from? And he just plopped him down right there. And, you know, at the second one, I had dithered about, like, zip tying someone's legs to prevent him from escaping, because I have a nasty habit of having my prisoners escape.
Losing your prisoners.
Yeah. That is a train. No, we'll keep going, I guess.
Go.
So yeah, basically, after the second one, I got kind of talked out of zip tying people for the foreseeable future. But as I walked away to give more orders, some folks on my team had zip tied our prisoner. Hey, they zip tied him around his hands. I was like, hey guys, this might be going a bit too far. They're like, oh, all right, we'll loosen him up a little bit. And they loosened him up a little bit, and I turned around again to make sure everyone was getting hydrated, and then I hear some movement, and I guess when I was turned around, this gentleman or this individual had slipped his hand out of the zip tie cuffs into his waistband and pulled out a 45, and as I turned around, he was bringing it up to about my sternum. And I don't know, it felt like he was in slow motion. Maybe he was moving it slow, or maybe time slowed down just for me. But I believe he was fumbling with his safety. And Portugal and a couple of the people screamed, "God!" And then someone dove on the 45, someone dove on him. And I was like, guys, calm down, it's over. And the guy who had pulled out the 45 was like, that was the coolest thing ever. I almost got you. And it was kind of embarrassing, but at the same time, it was probably one of the cooler parts of the game, because never saw that one coming.
Eventually, he did make his way over to my side, and he was like, Tim, I almost got Bob.
Yeah.
I was like, how did you do that? And
Yeah.
he was like, well, he explained the whole thing. He told me, I was like, wow. Well, try to do it again. Like, at a certain point, like, the spies kept bringing me information. I didn't know what to tell them to do. They're like, what should we do now? I was like, find Bob, shoot him. Like, you guys are armed, right? So just go, like, because somehow the spies were able to make their way past enemy lines because they're, like, wearing civilian clothes.
Dressed like civilians, yeah.
Yeah.
There's one thing I really want to mention. One of the finest pick-me-up lines I've ever heard in a long time was uttered to me by Ryan from Airsoft HD. Because Tim can attest, I was pretty pissed off that, you know, the disparity in points was so huge. I thought we were doing very well. We're definitely putting a lot of effort in with not as much result. But Ryan came up to me, put his hand on my shoulder, and was like, you know, Bob, I can't do a Minnesota accent very well, so I'm not even going to try. You know, Bob, I heard about this guy. His name is Luke. He had to go kill this Death Star, and he had this tiny little port they had to put proton torpedoes in, and he didn't even use computers, so I'm sure you're going to be fine. And I really appreciate Star Wars references, and it did kind of make me feel a little bit better, but then the second game happened.
Yes. Then the second game happened. which we'll get to in a minute. Alright, so you just saw a little bit of gameplay footage from BVT3. Don't worry, there is going to be a dedicated action game video that's going to come out later on this week. This will just tie you over until then. But let's cover Game 2.
Yes.
Game 2 was interesting, okay? The point spread was 60-something to 20-something at the end of Game 1. And there are two objectives that earn points for Game 2. The Hotel and the Palace of Timon. So the Hotel's worth 25 points. The Palace of Timon is worth 50. Bob needs to capture both of them by the end of the game in order to win. All I need to do is just hold one, which I already have control of at the beginning. All I need to do is hold one of them, and I've got it.
Now, to capture the Palace of Timon, I actually had to go in the courtyard and wave the flag for about a minute. The blue flag of Bob.
The objectives are a little different. All you need to do is get inside the hotel.
No, we actually also had to raise the flag on the second floor.
But once you control it, though, it's pretty easy to do that.
I had to go up there and make sure it was raised.
Oh, so.
But to be clear, you did leave 10 of your most elite guards in that hotel.
Well, what I tried, I was told that I was allowed to have 10 guards in the hotel to start the game. Everyone else would be back behind the Palace of Timon,
on
pretty far
Kuwait.
back on the Kuwait field. Yeah. So at game start, the guys in the hotel would have to hold their own for a while until we could get reinforcements up. And that was actually my plan, is to get more people as far forward as possible.
Yes.
But I just had no idea that you guys would be able to push so far in, because the guys in the hotel actually got overrun relatively quickly. They got overrun faster than I thought they would.
That was the plan.
And, so many of my guys died. I think another key point about this is that I was defending, you were attacking, you were given 200 respawn tickets, and I was given 50.
So each time a player dies, goes back to respawn, a ticket is subtracted.
Exactly. So, I had made an initial push with my guys. I went along with them thinking this is going to be cake. We just got to get up to the hotel and start shooting people from above. Unbeknownst to me, my guys were just getting picked off, and then I got back to respawn, and they were like, "Oh, no more tickets left." And I was like, "Holy crap!" I was like, "Okay, we got to rethink the strategy. Everyone, pull back and defend the palace. Do not lose the palace. That is our only objective for the rest of the game. Bob can have the hotel. I don't care about the hotel anymore. We just need to hold the palace down."
Now I like to explain how the hotel went from my point of view.
Go ahead.
Okay, so
I don't even know. I never got there. I was on my way there, but I never made it.
That's how it's supposed to be. So, from the beginning of the game, I was informed that I had one smoke drop available to me. Jet had suggested we use it on the hotel, basically put it in between the hotel and us, so we could get in and take out your guys. I told him, no, I don't want to do that. I want to save it for the big objective, the palace. So what I did is I sent a third of my group, or my rebels, off to the left to cover, I guess, the left side of the field, so you couldn't come down from the palace and also shoot up the building. I sent a third of my fastest guys up the right so they can get all the way up the field up to the palace and circle the hotel. Then I sent everybody else up to the hotel to every different entrance they could get inside. And I tried to actually get about 5 guys in that tower just to hose down the second floor. But right as the game started, no one was running up there, and I was screaming at people to get up there. So finally, I just ran up there by myself. And then thankfully, a bunch of people followed. We suppressed the second floor, and we just pushed guys in through every single door we could. And I believe I was actually the second person to get to the second floor. I was tossing grenades in there. Finally got up there, and Jed informed me that we're going way ahead of schedule. We're getting through the city a lot faster than he expected. And what really stopped us cold is we got about 2 buildings away from the palace. We were taking so much fire, that's when I called in the smoke drop. And thankfully, Jet told us like a key mistake that people make when using smoke is that they'll throw the smoke grenade and run right through it. But the whole purpose is to obscure your movement, so we let it billow up, and then I screamed at everyone to move forward, and I got to tell you, it looked right out of Saving Private Ryan because my guys were literally running up, getting next to the earthen embankment, going over the embankment, getting behind the next wall, and basically leapfrogging all the way up until we got to the Palace of Timon. And I know that you had a couple guards actually in the corner of the courtyard.
I had more than a couple guards. Even though we didn't have any respawns left, there were at least 50 guys piled up behind the palace. Maybe not 50. There was 40 guys piled up behind the palace, and another 10 or so kept staying in the ditches behind us. Even though I kept telling him, I was like, "You're not gonna do anything here. Please get up to the palace and make sure Bob doesn't get to the palace."
Yeah,
but as I understand, you actually made it inside the courtyard.
I made it into the courtyard. I proceeded to wave the flag maybe like once or twice. And yeah, I basically just got shot head to toe with that, carrying that flag. Went back to respawn, and it was very frustrating because I had all my guys there. It seemed like we were picking off your guys around the palace. Not quickly, but we're taking them down, and I was pretty sure you had no respawn left. Well, at the same time, my team had 60 guys right on the palace walls, and we had 50 to 60 more respawn tickets, and I was on my way almost to the archway when the game got called a bit early.
You say so.
Yeah, well, it was supposed to be an hour-long game. Definitely got called probably 30 minutes, 40 minutes early. It was
30 minutes early, you think so?
Oh, yeah, no, I talked to Jed. The game probably lasted about 25 minutes out of an hour.
Really?
Yeah, so it was definitely...
It seemed to take a lot longer than that.
It feels longer. Yeah, it feels longer when you're getting overrun.
I guess so.
But I will say though that like even though I was a bit frustrated how it ended, like it was like just those like 25 minutes were almost just as good as the entire 3.5 hours before because it was so crazy, it was so hectic, it just felt just so awesome. And especially running through the smoke, going leapfrogging from cover to cover, poning your gentlemen that were in the hotel. That was pretty awesome to get through them.
There was a little bit of miscommunication with that at the beginning because my idea was to get as many guys that I knew that had MGs, and a lot of ammo in that hotel. A couple of the people got sent up late, and they were like, "Oh, where should we go? Oh, game started. Oh shit!" And then boom, they got hit.
Yep.
And so I actually didn't have as many MGs there as I wanted. I think if everything had been set up properly, I would have actually gotten to the point where I might have made it up there. But who knows now? At least we won in the end. That's all that really matters. You guys never did get the palace.
Well, it was definitely, like I said at the end of the game, the best games are always the close ones. Yeah. And that was one hell of a close game. Yeah. And I got to say, my Rebels fought really hard. I mean, some of our guys didn't have like the best equipment, but that's how Rebels like work. You just deal with what you got. I saw a couple spring M14s out there, and I got to tell you,
what I thought was funny is that after the game, we were talking about how your forces actually do kind of act like unorganized rebel forces because you have a lot of the younger players on your team, and Jet called you Coney 2013 because you're leading an army of kids.
Okay, now to be clear, there were a lot of really cool kids on my team, but we also did have.
You guys definitely had organized players. Too,
but there were actually a couple Marines that came to me after the game that said like, look, I only have like 2 weeks of free time, like leave or whatnot, and I came up here, I want to be part of this game, and I want to be on your side, and I thanked those folks profusely because to have such a small amount of time and to be defending this country from enemies, foreign and domestic, and to come out and play our game, that honored us greatly. Yeah, and I really appreciated it.
I really just didn't. I couldn't believe how many people actually did come out. I think
80 people showed up the day of.
Yeah, the final total for the game sign-ups were way over 300 people.
It was over 330.
Yeah, and so, I mean, a lot of people signed up online. That was really awesome. The number was higher than we were expecting. And then even more people showed up the day of to sign up for the game. And so I mean, really, just thank you for taking your Saturday out to come out and play Airsoft with us, because
Yeah.
that was really, really unexpected. The turnout was amazing, and that was actually one of the reasons why the game started late, because we had so many
That's correct, yeah.
walk-ons.
Yeah.
We had way more than we were expecting. So, I mean, we're definitely going to do better for the next game. We're learning each time we do this.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, I think that we're going to cut the signups off the Friday before, so that we know exactly how many people need to register.
Well, I think having the ability to have people show up that day is also pretty important.
Well, I know, but the registration process just gets drawn out so much, especially if we have, you know, almost 100 people sign up the day of, you know.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But
So it's a double-edged sword, kind of.
one last thing I want to say about how proud I am of my team, even though, you know, we didn't completely succeed, whatever, is that I have a lot of crazy people on my team. We had the therapists who showed up in you know, rainbow-colored ponchos. We had people with just a lot of melee weapons on my
Did
team.
you see the Power Rangers on your team?
I did see the Power Rangers. I like the fact that, well, I guess when you have nothing left to lose, there's no one more dangerous than that person.
I guess.
Yeah.
It doesn't help you guys at all.
Well, it will help us for the next one, but
We'll see.
I'm still damn proud of my team, and I really appreciate everyone who came out.
Yeah, me too. Especially because, you know, we were victorious.
For shame.
Victorious. The first 2 games were a push, which shouldn't have been. I mean, I should be at 3-0 right now.
First 2 games. No. There were okay. The first game was definitely a time. I personally captured you, which I still don't think you can overcome that embarrassment. The
No,
second,
you captured me, and that's the only thing that evened it out. I totally had that game in the bag.
so I personally saved that one from being a loss. The second game, there were a lot of like rules where, like, you know, perhaps you should have like scored more in points. But the fact that we killed your vehicle 6 different times, each
Oh
of those
my God.
times
If you
was
were-
supposed to be worth
if you
points,
were
and it didn't count.
If you were in the armadillo, you would totally understand. That thing is a big effing target.
I know, but when
you
you
shouldn't
s-
get points for that at all.
When you
I
set points ahead of time for things, you have to abide by the rules.
Dude, that thing is nuts. I told that guy armadillo. We're talking about BVT2, by the way.
Yeah.
I get in the armadillo. It's an armored vehicle. It's supposed to be like, you know, it's on my side. And I'm telling the driver, I was like, all right, let's roll up in there. We got to get to the water depot. We're just gonna roll out. We're gonna unload and just like wreak havoc. He's like, I can't really do that because the steering column goes like this.
Yeah.
Like he can't control the freaking thing.
Well, he
so-
can control it to a certain amount.
To a certain degree.
But honestly, the fact that your armadillo was down so much is really a testament to the effectiveness of team therapists who brought, I believe, 3 rocket launchers to that game. And they would just fire one, toss to the next guy, fire another one, toss it, reload, fire the other one. So that they were very effective at taking out your tank, which was, I think, a real reason why it's a draw, because I didn't get points for that, so whatever.
Whatever. I didn't get points for capturing like some of the crap that Jet told me to do anyway.
Well, same here. I had to go put prisoners in a prison that was on your side. Apparently those weren't worth points. Don't need to keep prisoners, don't need to put them in prison. Wasted so many good men on that, and women.
Well, all that matters is that I won the push. So we'll see you for BVT4, Bob.
Well, what matters for me is I had one hell of a damn good time, and I'll see you for sure.
Thanks for joining us on GITV. This has been a pretty long AAR, actually. And like I said, stay tuned for the action footage. It's going to be coming out in the week to come. Josh is working really hard to put together some awesome clips for the BVT game. My name is Tim.
I'm Bob the Axeman Hildebrand, and I've got one last thing to do. Good game, Tim.
Oh, God,
Good
I thought you
game.
were gonna hit me.
No, good game, buddy. See ya.